Well, somebody's got to make their coffee. That's fresh, hot coffee. That thing's fogging up your glasses, bro.
Yeah. You don't need me out here without my caffeine.
Yeah, well, I don't need
on these streets.
I don't need caffeine today because I'm fired up once again as a hockey team manager. Fired up.
This feels like a weekly segment. I really do wish you would bring the jacket for it, though.
Well,
if I could confuse my life coach voices with your Colin Cowherd voice.
Yeah. No, Shane, the coach, wants, he's like, you want to do a segment on this crap? I'll just let it rip. I was like, yeah, dude, if you want to let the jersey out, let the jersey out. I was just going to say, you get along just fine with him. Let that jersey out. A couple Jersey boys doing their thing. Anyway, I guess we can get started. So let's go ahead and do this. Butcher's Market OG Live, ladies and gentlemen. It is just past 2:00. It is another Butcher's Market OG Live. Alongside Joe Giglio, I'm Joe Ovies. We are inside Eford Studios in downtown Raleigh, thanks to Empire Properties. And, of course, thanks to our presenting sponsor, Copiers Plus. But on Thursdays, it's all about Butcher's Market. It's all about the catering.
It's all about the meat.
It is about their sandwiches. It's all the goodies that you get at the various Butcher's Markets across the Triangle and in Wilmington as well. Shout out to our Wilmington people. So big thanks to the Butcher's Market for being the OG Live presenting sponsor. We do have a lot to get into today, Joe.
A lot.
We do, actually.
I know we do.
The Panthers might get another coach fired this weekend in Germany. I'm excited about this. But more importantly, locally, happening in our backyard. We don't have to go to Germany for this football extravaganza. We just got to go to Carter Finley Stadium for it.
Huge.
NC State, Duke, in the next chapter of the battle for Triangle Good. When we last left you, Manny Diaz and his Duke Blue Devils hosted the Tar Heels from Chapel Hill. And while they found themselves down, it's like a battle of Winterfell. While they found themselves down 20 points to the Tar Heels, Manny Diaz looking like Jon Snow. We got this. We're coming back. Let's run it, boys. And they end up winning that game with a bunch of unanswered points. So they took that chapter of the battle for Triangle Good. Here's the next battle at Carter Finley Stadium, Joe.
Just spitballing here.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, for all these years, everyone's been trying to figure out what kind of trophies should they be giving out? State, Carolina, Triangle. Like the John Edwards idea was inspired there for a while.
The reverse trophy.
James Curl.
The reverse trophy. Yes.
Yeah. So everyone's like, oh man, they play for all these really cool things in the Big Ten. And you and I, we're not that creative. So, but hearing you say Triangle Good, which we coined, hearing you say that makes me think like it's like government work, right?
Yeah.
That's good enough for government work.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So should it be like a construction vest? Should it be like a manila envelope? Should it be like one of those things that you circle up like in an interoffice mail? And every year you cross out the year and your name gets, and then you cross it out and then you put it in the slot for the next year for the next team. We're Triangle Good, man. We're Triangle Good.
Well, I'm trying to think what represents,
you know
what represents the triangle right now. Is it a nondescript, generic looking apartment complex that looks like all the other apartment complexes all across the triangle?
Is it a clock with the hands at 8 and 4?
Ooh, that's inspired.
Kind of shaped like our geographically challenged map of Virginia.
Yeah,
like we just put the dots in random places, and it's a triangle shaped, and then an 8. Or no, 8.
No, because we can do that. No, we can do that. Here's the reason why we could do that. You could do a clock 8 and 4. It's like Flavor Flav. You can actually make a big chain
Manny
out of
Diaz.
it. Right.
We'll call cousin Nunzio down in Miami.
Let's do this.
Cousin Yuri. Sorry. got my Jersey and Miami people mixed up there.
From Ken, I'd say we do the present. He says a Chinese restaurant next to a food line. That is very Triangle. That's where we do the presentation.
Yes.
That's where the banquet is.
Yes.
At a Chinese joint called what's the one that I used to go to all the time?
There's always a moon.
Yeah, no, there was one off of I think it's still there. It's off of Wake Forest and Six Forks by the Trader Joe's.
No Chinese restaurants ever go out of business. Come on.
I'm sure it's still there. Yeah. It has to still be there.
Come on.
It has to still be there. Need my crab rangoon. Let's go.
Neon OG Moon.
I think we nailed it.
Boom.
Done. Here we are. All right. All jokes aside. Actually, I take that back. Always jokes. I know what to expect out of Duke in this game on Saturday.
Okay.
I don't know what to expect out of NC State on Saturday. Duke is a better football team than Stanford. Duke is a tougher team than Stanford. I think we can recognize that.
Okay.
Manny defensively have been blessed by the turnovers. And the one thing that was a big deal about the game of the win over Stanford is that NC State didn't hurt themselves. That's been a problem for the Wolfpack this year. A lot of ways in which they've hurt themselves. And that doesn't necessarily mean that Duke is going to win games when the other team is turning the ball over a ton. I mean, look at the SMU game where they had 6 turnovers in order to make that thing close, and they still couldn't win that game. I do think, though, that I'm leaning Duke in this case because I've seen more consistency out of the Blue Devils, even though they've had their own issues, and they should have won against SMU. Whereas NC State has a little bit of, what am I getting today? Now, I could be wrong in that CJ Bailey and the offense has finally started to click, but then again, that's a bad Stanford team that they did it against. So now you got to go out there and do it again. So, and the other thing too that we do know about Dave Doran, and you know this about the NC State Duke game, they're a little nastier. One thing that Duke consistently does that Carolina can't is that Duke get up for this game physically. And I remember you always like to tell that story in the pandemic year.
My gosh.
The things that were being said on the football field with nobody there. You were like, whoa.
I had no idea you two didn't like each other.
They don't.
The ACC told me you didn't matter anymore. This game didn't matter anymore. No, we are squarely getting into my favorite part of the season. This is the only time of the year where I'm good at gambling.
Okay.
And you have to ask yourself the central question.
Mm-hmm.
Has my favorite team played its Super Bowl yet? Right? You could argue Duke's played their Super Bowl. The Carolina game. You could argue.
Yeah.
You could.
Yeah.
We'll see what that turns out to be. You can't argue that State's played their Super Bowl yet.
Absolutely
you
not.
You cannot.
No.
And they have 2 chances at that Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
It's either Saturday it'll be dark by the time they're done.
That's fair.
Right?
3:30 start, right?
Right. Or it's Saturday, November 30th in Chapel Hill, where, in fairness to Dave, his Super Bowl has been played many a time in that game, and many a time over at Kenan Stadium.
Yeah, the answer to the NC State Super Bowl is that game against North Carolina. It's not the Duke game. It's not the Duke game.
I don't know, though, because of this. In terms of my definition of Super Bowl is your team played its best game. Now, maybe Stanford was State's Super Bowl. Maybe. But you give that look, but in 2016, State put a bunch of points up on Wake Forest that was like 3-8, and they wasted their Super Bowl on a game against the 3-8 Wake Forest team. Okay. So you don't get to choose when your Super Bowl is. It just happens.
Yeah.
So you look at that and you go, hey, how about this one? Has Carolina played its Super Bowl yet? Because you can win, you can play your Super Bowl and not win it, by the way. That's a thing that happens as well. So yes, triangle good is a real thing. Yes, our teams are not all that interesting this year. But you know what? By the end, you still want one to be able to stand up and say, yeah, man, we're all dipshits, but I'm the king of the dipshits.
I think that's a Sturgill Simpson song off his first record. You know, he's the king of shit mountain, I believe, is the way that song ends. People want to know, man. They're already in the comment section. You can get in on the comment section when we are live. We love going to it. So Matt wants to know. We want to hear some State Duke parlays. You want to give him some State Duke parlays? Let's just go ahead and do it, man. You can get on DraftKings right now. Download the Sportsbook app. When you bet $5, you'll get $200 in bonus bets when you use the promo code OG24. So download the app, use that promo code OG24, bet $5, $200 in bonus bets coming your way. In fact, you could put $25 down that you get in those bonus bets to do a why the hell not quick game parlay that's on the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. This is because they break it down into odds too. You want ones that are plus 200, you want ones that are between plus 200 and 1,000, or do you want ones that are plus 1,000 to 2,500? I'm going to go to the 1,000, 2,500. And that's Duke money line, NC State money line first quarter, and over 51.5. That's a plus 1,000.
So they want you to zig and zag there. They want to take one team in the first quarter and another to win the football game.
Is that not the very definition of triangle good? NC State's up in the first quarter, you're feeling it. Duke's hanging around, lingering, and they end up winning.
Did we see that already?
We've seen it once already.
That was Carolina Duke the first time around. So
now look, maybe you think that's too ridiculous. For plus 260, you get over 2.5 Duke team total touchdowns. Duke half spread first quarter, and then over 51.5 total. If you want to go that, or you go State money line first quarter, and over 51.5 for plus 335.
A lot of options.
So many.
That's
options
what DraftKings is there for.
I'm going to do that plus 1,000 because why not? That's the most triangle football thing ever.
Can you get it the other way though? Can you get Duke to be up early?
I can make my own parlay.
Okay.
You're right. These are,
do it however you want to do it. Duke first quarter is going to be plus money.
Yep.
State money line's not going to be that. State money line's minus 150. So throw something else in there like a Jolie.
Yeah.
Receptions.
You can do it any way you want. Any way you want. Now, that's the beauty of the DraftKings Sportsbook app. They got stuff that's already built in for you. All you got to do is hit a button and you're good to go. Or you can build your own. You can go all over the place with sports too. And the NBA being back is a good example of this. New season means new ways to get in on the action with DraftKings, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. So if it's your first time, download the app, use the promo code OG24. New customers will get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. It's time for legal. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-78-9-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas, 21 plus, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in New Hampshire, Oregon, Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/bball. One thing I did want to do that kind of transitions us into another college football topic for today comes to us from the OG Sports Phone.
914-444-2211. Call the OG Sports Phone and curse or don't.
All right. This came to us this morning, actually, and it's a good segue into a larger conversation about college football. And it's about NC State, of course.
Hey, fellas. Nathan out here in Clayton. Wanted to call and act as a moderator / mediator between NC State fans and Dave Doran. So I'm going to speak to Dave from the fans. Dave, don't treat us like we're stupid. We know that we had the talent to do what we did against Stanford, against the lesser opponents on our schedule. So don't sit there and act like you're all high and mighty and smarter than everybody else when we can see the obvious shit too. All right. Now that that's over with, to the fans from Dave, would y'all just shut the fuck up sometimes and let me do my job? I do know a little bit more about football than y'all. So just shut up sometimes. That's all I want. Just sometimes, guys. Just sometimes. We don't have to talk all the time. Just sometimes. I don't need to hear it every opportunity you get to open your mouth. And if we both just do that, maybe we can coexist as salty Days and salty fans. Thanks, boys.
That does bring about the question, have we had a salty Dave moment yet?
We haven't. Cal was ripe for it in the way that they had won and after the losses that they had suffered. But they were on the West Coast, and it was like, well, you did kind of win because somebody missed a kick, not because you necessarily outplayed somebody.
Sure.
And I think there was Robbie McLamb from James Henderson's Inside Pack Sports was out there. I think he was the only one out there.
That's it?
I'm pretty sure.
I mean, that's a tough trip, dude.
I mean,
you were originally
going to that team.
You were originally going to go to that game.
I was, but it is a tough trip. It costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
Good work isn't cheap. Cheap work isn't good. No, I think, so that was the one win that was ripe for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying to you. I think State fans, and they hate it when I do this, and I don't like myself for doing it either. I think this week they're going to play their Super Bowl. I think they're going to beat Duke this week, actually. And I think they're going to feel good, and you're going to get Salty Dave. And then I think they do lose to Carolina on the 30th.
Well, that's the competing storyline, right? And I've referenced this as all we can do is speculate Mac Brown retirement tour, because we don't know what's going to happen with North Carolina at the end of the season. And they have an open date again this weekend. But I can see Carolina going out with a win against NC State, that Mac Brown does the thing where he finally knocks off Florida State in an emphatic fashion. I mean, they disconnected the controller in Tallahassee this past weekend, right?
Yes.
So, and then you go out by beating NC State, and it gives Mac an opportunity to get to the stump speech and tell you how things were pretty good around here, because triangle good, obviously, is a thing. Yeah, I could envision a scenario where they win and you get Salty Dave as they start to close out the season, and how, he always believes in his guys. They always get up off the mat. I mean, we've heard these speeches from Dave before. It's happened over the course of 12 years. But if they lose to Duke, hell, if they lose to Carolina, the people who were not fans of Dave Doeren to begin with will come out of the woodwork again. But here's where things get tricky. And this is what I was leading this to. And I don't think we've quite come to grips with the changes in the college football landscape when it comes to the dismissal of coaches going forward. And I've heard this mentioned on the Cover 3 podcast. I know that Bud Elliott has references when he talks to his people. I know Chip has brought it up. I've seen it written by guys like Andy Staples, like all the national college football guys have been picking this up. Now, maybe this is wishful thinking from some coaches, right? But with the House settlement coming up, with the changes in college athletics, these athletic departments are going to be strained for cash, and paying a bunch of money to a coach to not coach might not be in their best interest. So, for instance, you look at Florida. I mean, from the jump, it's been a question of how long is the Florida coach going to last? Is he going to be the first midseason firing? And now all of a sudden, Joe, you were saying...
Even Florida today came out and said, we owe Billy Napier $26 million if we get rid of him.
Right.
We're not getting rid of him. And the way that they've played, to be perfectly fair, the way that they've played since that Miami game, they've been competitive.
They've been competitive, but still.
Just not where Florida wants to be.
No.
Right?
No.
And I think that's the new calculus. Like you said forever, the thing that bothered you forever about college football and even the NFL is there's no salary cap on coaches. Right? So why should there be a salary cap on players? Well, I think this now becomes the artificial cap. And it may not be the per annual salary that gets capped. It'll be the length of these contracts. Because the old math was, well, you got to sign a guy for 5 years, 6 years. You got to make sure he gets a recruiting cycle and he can develop his class. And with the portal and NIL, do you need to do all that? No, you don't need to do all that.
No.
So the real problem is you got 3 power programs right now. In Florida, $26 million. USC, I don't know if you've seen the tire fire that is USC football right now.
Oh, it's yeah. But
it's a complete disaster.
But at that point, this is the other calculus that happens at places like Florida or Southern Cal. Sometimes you have to just go ahead and cut ties because there's apathy that sets into those programs and you ain't getting out of it.
$88 million.
Hey, if they can buy out Jimbo Fisher, they can buy out anybody.
Oklahoma, now who's probably going to file. I think they still will.
Yeah.
They owe Brent Venables $44 million.
So the question you should be asking, I think the question that should be asked isn't, can these schools or will these schools buy these coaches out? That's not the question. The question is,
their thought process has changed.
Maybe their thought process changed, but sometimes you just have to cut the cord on that. Like I said, Jimbo Fisher, there was always like, well, that buyout, he's guaranteed that buyout. Yeah, at some point you just go, hey man, Jimbo, love you, mean it. Get the hell out, man. The question I think that should be asked is, when these schools go back to the coaching pool, what will the buyouts look like? How will the contracts change? Will you find yourself tying yourself to a coach with these massive buyouts, or the agent's going to come off of that? Agents ain't coming off of that.
That's what I'm saying.
Coaches ain't coming off of that.
It'll be about the length. That's what I'm saying. These guys are going to sign shorter deals.
I can see that.
Housekeeping.
Big thanks to Enovana. Check them out online at enovana.com. Green cleaning solutions.
If you have mess inside your mansion or trash in your cabana, get it green clean with Enovana.
Our guy Jack sent us a picture on the road. I'm hoping he was practicing safe driving, but he saw an Inovana car while he was out and about. I think he had a sing along. When you're in traffic on Wade and lanes are tighter than you wanna, drive right next to Inovana. I'm gonna have to get Bud on that. Make a new jingle. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, go check them out. Inovana.com. We've got OGTriangleMedia.com. That's part of OG Fans. You sign up for that for as little as $13 a month. You will get premium content, newsletters, podcasts. Dimitri and I did an OG on business, which started as a conversation about how the college football playoff ranking reveal differed on television from the previous college football playoff ranking reveals, to his observations on election night coverage with Amazon and how their production might find its way into sports coverage going forward. But then we got into a weird, existential, almost cathartic conversation about what is real, Joe? Are we in a bubble? And did we have our bubbles shattered? And what does that mean going forward? So all of that is on OGTriangleMedia.com, along with the bonus OG episode, the OG mailbag, which hits your podcast platform every Friday. In fact, email us because we do need some OG mailbag questions. So theoggoesdigital@gmail.com. Again, that's theoggoesdigital@gmail.com. Or you can call the OG Sports phone at 919-444-2211.
It just sounds weird when you read it.
Oh, you want me to just, you know what? You're right. It does sound
No, you don't
weird.
have to play it. You can just say 919.
No.
919-444-2211. Call the OG Sports phone and curse or don't.
It's much better to play it. Much better to play it. So yeah, leave us a phone message or go ahead and just email us for the mailbag. Big thanks to O2 Fitness. O2fitnessclubs.com is the website. They got locations all across the triangle because going to the gym, it's an ask. Might as well make it convenient for you. And
Convenience is important. They got locations: Chapel Hill, Durham, Holly Springs, Cary, Briar Creek, and of course, the OG home base right here, downtown Seaboard.
so many jingles in the housekeeping. Big thanks to Breeze Through. Check them out online at breezethrough.com. If you're thinking about going to that game at Carter Finley Stadium on Saturday, you can tailgate at the Breeze Through right across from the stadium. First come, first serve. They've got a food truck. You can go into the beer cave, grab some goodies, a roadie if you want to, and then head on over to the
A
game.
fatty is what I got the other day.
Yes, you got like the sausage stick.
Yeah, it was good.
Sometimes you just got to, dude.
I'm saying it was good snacks.
But don't get too used to that. You want to like treat yourself. You want to go to Longleaf Swine. Maybe go to the game and then go to Longleaf Swine after. Or maybe you're a little hungover from the game. Go to Longleaf on Sunday for brunch because that brisket burrito is going to solve your hangover problem.
I still don't know what Adam and the crew put in there. I still don't know, but it's delightful.
So big thanks to Longleaf Swine. Check them out. Go. It's a great spot. And then, of course, with Thanksgiving, they got all sorts of goodies that you can take advantage of.
I think it's bacon and brisket
Yeah.
and eggs and cheese, maybe even the potatoes,
There's
right?
potatoes in there. Yeah, they put the fries in there. The fries are the kicker to me.
What?
You might see me there Sunday. All right, so we've got the Panthers in Germany. I was trying to get Julian Council from Locked On Panthers to join us, but he is currently on a train right now, and he's going to have a nice dinner before he goes back to Munich. I'm kind of jealous.
Yeah. Is he going like France or is he staying in Germany?
He's staying in Germany. I've been to Germany once. And
Ken's got all kinds of Germany stories.
Right.
Yeah.
So I went to Germany once. I absolutely loved it there from the historical perspective. Went to Berlin, saw the remnants of the wall and various other things that are going on. There's just a lot of history, obviously. But there's going to be a historically bad football game to add to all that history.
Here's your punishment.
In Germany. Here you go, Germany. This is what you get. Now, the question is, look, the Panthers have 2 wins on the season, and in both wins, somebody's been fired. Okay? The Raiders fired a coordinator.
Yep.
Now, I think they fired all their coordinators at this point.
Yeah.
Antonio Pierce is like, do I got anybody else to fire? Nah.
Who else could I blame
Damn
for this
it.
disaster?
And then, of course, Dennis Allen gets fired from the Saints because, the losing streak was bad enough. Losing to that team with Bryce Young as the quarterback, that made it even worse. Now we get to the Giants, where Brian Dable, your boy from a couple of years ago, has been struggling in New York. And if they lose to the Panthers, will they just say, hey, man, take the train back. All right.
That'd be quite a trip.
It would be a trip. I don't know how you can just take there's you got the channel and then you got the hovercraft that gets you in between France and England, right? Maybe take that back to the States. You just can't take the charter on the way back. Sorry about that, Brian. So at this point, the Panthers have kind of become the team that if you lose to them, well, we got our answer. We're moving on.
That's all we need to know. Yeah, the Giants have lost 4 in a row. Obviously, Bill Belichick is out there. There might be this race between the Jaguars and the Giants to get to Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
If they lose to the Panthers, I do believe it could be closing time.
Now, it's not all bad news with the Carolina Panthers. Obviously, you get the win, and not all the guys that they've drafted or invested in have, because everybody's like Bryce Young, and oh my goodness, what are they gonna have to do with
colossal disaster?
Not everybody they've picked up has been a colossal disaster.
Man,
Chuba
speaking
Hubbard.
of colossal disasters, you're gonna make me give somebody credit.
I am. So the news of the day, Ian Rappaport was the first one to report it. They've locked in one of their young stars, agreeing to terms with Chuba Hubbard on a 4-year, $33.2 million contract extension. He gets the max value of $37.2 million and $15 million in newly fully guaranteed money.
How did they get Chuba?
Well, let's go back to draft night, shall we? This is from the Carolina Panthers account. What day was this? This was, 2021. Here's Matt Rule picking up the phone to let Chuba know what's up.
What's up, man? I couldn't sit there and watch you run wild on me all those years at Baylor and not take you when you got a chance.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity.
This is true. Oh, this is true. I got to tell you this, man. About 10 minutes ago, my wife texted me and said, please take Chuba Hubbard. So she speaks, it happens. We're excited to have you, man.
Yes, sir. Excited to be there with y'all.
Hey, here's our owner,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Tepper.
So there you go. Do we give Matt Rule credit for this, or do we give Julie Rule credit for this?
Everyone wants to blame Tepper's wife for the Bryce Young pick.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we needed Julie Rule on that wall all along.
Maybe. Look, Chuba has been a bright spot for the Panthers, and I don't have the
And
right.
they didn't overpay for him, by the way.
They
$8 million a year. That's perfectly in line. For people who were like, why didn't you just take on a Christian McCaffrey? Well, they were paying Christian McCaffrey $20 million a year.
So here's the thing. I don't have the Football Outsiders Almanac with me. I think it was from 2 years ago.
You don't keep that thing on you?
They're at home. I don't know where the rest of them are.
Oh my gosh.
I know they're somewhere. I don't have them here, unfortunately. But I remember reading Football Outsiders, and they were making the argument that you had essentially two kinds of Matt Rule conversations. You had the on-the-field Matt Rule, and then you had your behind-the-scenes draft picks, can he identify talent, right? And they were making the argument that for the most part, whether it was Matt Rule's decisions or not, who you wanted to assign credit for, but during the Matt Rule time, their draft picks weren't overly terrible. There actually was talent there compared to what we've seen so far with this iteration of Scott Fitterer,
Sure,
and the Frank Reich, and obviously now we'll see what happens with Dave Canales. But you don't want to give Matt Rule too much credit, right?
No more than he deserves.
All right.
But yes, Chuba was a good pick.
He was a
and
good
I
pick.
do kind of love that it was his wife who was like, that guy from Oklahoma State, like he beat us a couple times.
From Holiday J. Get Matt Rule off my screen.
I know, same.
You know what, though? You can take solace in the fact that they are going back to being mediocre at Nebraska. Hot start, back down, right?
Just got to get another Patrick Mahomes. No
But
big deal.
year 3 is the year, though, right?
I thought it was year 2, but
I thought it was year 3. I lose track. One other Panthers note, and this was from yesterday. Dan Morgan in the afternoon was talking about the end of the trade deadline before they go off to Europe and everything else, go off to Germany. And he was asked once again about Bryce Young, speaking of draft picks and whether or not they hit. So they're going to Bryce Young on Sunday. I think it's the right move, given what we saw in this last game against New Orleans. See if you can build off some of the confidence that he gained in that win. Straight up.
Yeah.
Straight up. You got to see if you can build off the confidence. And every single time the Carolina Panthers are given an opportunity to say something nice about Bryce Young,
They don't want to take it.
they refuse to do it. So we've seen Dave Canales opt out, essentially, of saying something nice about Bryce Young all the time. His go-to is, that's a conversation I'm going to keep
Keep it
in-house.
private. Keep it in-house.
Keep it between us. Okay, fine. So he was asked, hey, do you still see Bryce Young as a franchise QB? Here's the response.
Yeah, I think every week, we're assessing Bryce. We're just seeing, taking it day by day, really, just seeing him grow, seeing him develop, be under coach and work with him, learn under Andy. You know, I think we do see him growing every day. We're excited to work with him and keep working with him in the future. And, you know, at the end of the day, we'll have those conversations once the season ends, and we'll see where we're at.
At this point, do you have a sense with Bryce specifically, what is it that you want to see more of?
Yeah, just continually improve. And it's not just Bryce. It's everybody on our roster. We're evaluating everybody every single day, not just on game day. You know, not only how they carry themselves, you know, on the field, but off the field as well. So, you know, it's just one of those things where we're evaluating everything, and at the end of the day, we'll get together at the end of the season and we'll see where we're at.
Dan, is it safe to say there was no way you guys were going to trade Bryce later, no matter what the package?
Yeah, like we never got into any discussions. I never opened that door. Didn't want to trade Bryce. Still don't. And committed to working with him and helping him grow and helping him develop.
So again, that was Dan Morgan yesterday talking about the end of the trade deadline. They did what they could. You know, Deontay Johnson, we don't have to relitigate that. The market was the market. They ended up getting a pretty good win in terms of a trade for Jonathan Mingo. Any value for Jonathan Mingo. Here's what I think is happening with Bryce Young. I think they looked at the wide receiver market and took advantage of it ahead of the trade deadline. Because why wouldn't you? I mean, that was the hot ticket for the trade deadline in the NFL this season. I think what they're going to do is they're not going to get any value for Bryce Young now, because really, if you're quarterback needy, you're probably got 2 wins on the season right now. I mean, there's 7 or 9 teams with 2 wins on the season right now, and you're going to find yourself trying to find a quarterback in the draft. However, you might be able to make a deal for Bryce Young at the draft for another team that's looking for some sort of quarterback competition, some sort of backup quarterback for whoever it is that they want to draft. There's any number of ways that you can spin it. You just weren't going to get value for him at the deadline because of the way the season's played out. But at the draft, where the real deals get done in the NFL, they're going to ship him because Dan Morgan won't commit to him. And Dave Canales certainly has let you know, I don't like this guy. I don't think I can work with him. That's why I want to keep going back to Andy. So maybe, as somebody in our comment section pointed out, raising the stock just enough to ship him. And if they can get some semblance of good out of Bryce Young the rest of the season, there'll be more than enough tape that they can say, hey, look, that didn't work out for us, but maybe he can work out for you. Just something to keep an eye on. Big thanks to Home Field. Check them out online at homefieldapparel.com. Use the promo code OG24 to save 15% off your order. If you have already used that promo code, no big deal. Right now, they've got a 20% site-wide sale going on. So take advantage of that. Get some basketball goodies as we start to transition to college basketball. It's all at homefieldapparel.com. Also, big thanks to Nature's Relief. Maybe you've had a week. A lot of us have had a week. Got to take the edge off. Nature's Relief Hemp Store can do that for you. RELEAF hempstore.com. Maybe you want to go to the Canes game tonight and vibe. Nature's Relief. Maybe you're going to settle in for Triangle Good. Nature's Relief. Chill on your couch. Hell, melt in your couch while you watch football if you want. It's all at Nature's Relief. Hempstore.com. And speaking of the Canes, if you're going to the Canes game tonight, hit Two Roosters. Get the Slavin Sunday. I can testify. It is amazing. I ate the whole thing by myself. And you can too, Joe.
It's quite an accomplishment.
Actually, don't do that because you'll fall asleep in press row.
Yeah.
You don't.
We've seen that before.
You don't want to do that. So go to tworoosters.com. And of course, it'll be here before you know it.
The chocolate chess pie
is on the way. So be ready. Joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline. Look at her. We're matching today. She's repping. I need you to unmute your microphone, Shelby. Unmute it.
I got you.
There we go.
Hey, we're here.
Perfect. Are you skipping class for this, Shelby?
Guys, skipping, no. Did I step out of class into my professor's office? Yes, I did. I'm gonna see for anyone on video if I can flip this. That's much better. I'll fill this.
Much better. Much better on there. Wait,
So yeah, this is my professor Livis Freeman's office. So you can see like a bunch of Star Wars crap. Like
That's the
not
exact
mine,
term
but
you should
it really
use.
sets the vibe. So
Yes.
yeah.
I just appreciate that you'd rather talk to us than sit on a class with Tyler Hansbrough. Apparently, he's speaking to your class right now.
Guys, yes, Tyler Hansbrough is speaking to my class, so I had to explain to my professor the irony of me stepping out of that class to then go and myself speak about basketball. Obviously one of us is way more qualified to do that, but
Yeah, tell Hansbrough to contact us for heaven's sake. But that's another conversation for
we'll
another
see what
day.
I can do. We'll see what I can do.
So Shelby Swanson, Daily Tar Heel, News and Observer, joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline. So we get we don't get this very often in the regular season. Usually if I see Carolina and Kansas playing, it's some sort of NCAA tournament. And in the NCAA tournament, not so hot for Carolina when they see Kansas. But no, this is a regular season matchup going to Fog. I know that Hubert Davis was asked a lot of questions about the environment up at Fog. I'm more curious about what do you do with Hunter Dickinson when you don't have Armando Bacot on the roster anymore? That's my curiosity for Friday night.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I think it's one of those things where it was interesting just talking to the players after that win against Eli. I mean, it was obviously a win, but not exactly victorious, you would say. They just came away with so many question marks. One of them being really, for me, the defensive communication and who's going to step up on that end. You talk a lot about obviously the offensive production you're going to get from Armando Bacot down low. It's basically, a guaranteed 10, 15 rebounds per game.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I think somebody that a lot of folks are overlooking in terms of making up for that rebound deficit is Harrison Ingram and the impact that he had oftentimes out rebounding Armando Bacot. But one of the things, and I really talked to RJ Davis about this after the game that illuminated some things, were Armando Bacot and his importance as a defensive anchor. We saw that a lot last season, and just his ability to call out, ball screens on and off the ball. And RJ felt that that's something that the team was really missing. And you did see it when Elon was able to make that late game push. And then obviously with about 6 or so minutes left, RJ Davis was RJ Davis, and UNC was able to, come back and win that game. But yeah, with Hunter Dickinson, again, not sure how we're still talking about him, not sure how, how he's still in college, but that is a really, really huge concern. And just what is, UNC going to do against him defensively? I don't know that they have anybody that can match up with him just in terms of pure size. Maybe you try and put, a Jalen Withers on him, and maybe some of the athleticism can kind of do something to trip him up. But I mean, I think we're going to really see UNC's front court exposed on Friday.
Speaking of still being in college, are you ready for this?
Hey.
Let's see if Shelby's got. Well, yes, you. But let's see if you got this one. You ready?
I'm terrified. Okay.
There's somebody playing in this game for Kansas who has a history with Carolina. You're right. Look at your screen. You ready?
Okay.
I didn't believe it either.
No.
Yes, Shaquille Moore.
What?
That Shaquille Moore.
What?
Dunking on Walker Kessler in an
Walker Kessler's a throwback.
Dunking on Walker Kessler in an empty arena during the pandemic. Plays for Kansas.
Really?
Yes.
All right.
Still there.
Sure.
Still in the league.
I thought you were going to tell me somebody was still on the roster from 2008.
No.
I thought that's what was going on. No, okay.
Now, Shelby, are you going to Lawrence?
I am not. I know that Andrew Carter's there for us at the News Observer, but no, I will be here in Chapel Hill.
I will text Andrew. I want to make sure that Shaq Moore has Wolfpack for life on his shoe. I want to make sure. You got to make sure.
Okay. We'll see if we can look into that. Yeah, for sure. Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, I did. That's an Easter egg for you right there.
It's a good find, Joe. I'm not gonna lie. That's a good find, dude.
Y'all really do your thing in terms of the research on this show. I respect.
This reminded me though of this matchup, them going to Kansas, playing at their gym, not in Chicago, not in Atlanta. This reminded me last year of Arizona. Caleb Love, if you're missing the reference, putting Tar Heel for life, even though he's now going to play 2 years at another school.
Because that's what for life means.
Yeah, that's exactly what for life means.
Right.
Showing up at Cameron, and now Duke obviously going back over to Arizona. Like, I think this is the best part about this series is that we're going to see we get a chance to see these teams, these players get a chance. Kansas playing all three of our teams this year, so that's kind of cool too. So, what did you take from the opener though, Shelby? Are Carolina fans ready to forgive Jalen Withers if he averages a double-double?
I think yes. What they're not ready to forgive are some of the, quite frankly, just boneheaded plays that he made at the end of the game. That being said, and I'm not saying that to, attack him. I mean, that was kind of his own characterization, right? In terms of talking to him after the game. He just terrible pass. He said we were sharing a bit of a laugh about that one pass at the end that I think it actually clanked off the rim. He said he was just kind of trying to zip it over to Seth in the corner, and obviously Elon had that 7'4" center, so that makes things a little bit difficult. But that being said, I mean, you saw much better offensive production from the perimeter from Jalen Withers than, Cade Tyson in that game. And that's what obviously Tyson was brought in from the transfer portal to do. That being said, I think a lot of the folks, I've seen this being said just around campus and kind of fans online saying that, they're ready to write off Cade Tyson because of his poor offensive production. I mean, we've had one regular season game, and I think we kind of need to remind folks what Cormac Ryan looked like at the beginning of last season. But that being said, it's very clear that Jalen Withers, along with Elliot Cadeau, both of them have been putting in a ton of work in the offseason on their three-point shot. That's going to open up things for just everyone across the board. And really with that, I mean, we already know the kind of athleticism that Jalen Withers brings, but if he has kind of gone back to his, three-point shooting prowess that we saw at Louisville, right? But then he was something like 4 for 20 from 3 last season. That being said, if he can get back into that perimeter shooting form that we saw at Louisville, he's a really great addition to that 4 spot. That's honestly, I know there are a lot of worries with, how quickly Jalen Washington can adjust to the 5 spot, but there are a lot of questions too at the 4 for me. And with some early struggles from Cade Tyson, maybe you want to continue to ease him into things as he's clearly kind of making that adjustment to the speed and the level play at UNC. I mean, Jalen Withers could be that guy at the 4 spot for UNC.
I also know Hubert, I guess it was after the Elon game. I don't think he really referenced it during yesterday's press conference, but they only got to the line, 16 times? And one thing that Hubert will absolutely get mad at, and I know State fans made fun of it, a year ago or 2 years ago, he was like, no, we need to get to the line more. Again, that's another life without Armando Bacot type situation, who was excellent at making that happen. And that's another kind of new roles, new expectations for these guys, including Withers, that I'm sure that Hubert Davis wants to see more of on Friday night.
No, 100%. Yeah, and you're right. I'm looking at it now, shot 16 free throws.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, they're going to have to get to the rim, attack. And really what that's evidence of too is this new kind of 5-out style of offense that they're playing. Obviously, we've seen UNC, trending more towards that pro style of offense in the Hubert Davis era, but now without a Bacot down low, they're going to have to employ that. And so, I mean, what you're going to have to do in order to create anything is it's going to be a lot of, guard-led dribble drives, penetrating, creating opportunities to, kick it out for the 3, things like that. So yes, I mean, free throws and getting to the line is a result of that, but I don't think it's just about, we just have to draw fouls. No, you have to create that contact and drive in order for this offense to work and to create opportunities for everybody.
So you really call that Star Wars crap? I see a couple of lightsabers back there. I like how your professor...
Crap was not the...
I mean, we got some Kenner stores. Is that a Jabba the Hutt that I see back there?
Yeah, we got some kind of like Harry Potter stuff too. Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm out.
Uh-oh.
Harry Potter stuff,
Don't-
I'm out.
Don't back down from him. Don't you let him bully you.
What's wrong with Harry Potter? What's wrong with HP? The boy who lived.
It's basically just Star Wars with wizards, different powers.
You know what? Don't get me started on this. We're getting off track. I did.
Next time you have time, we're gonna have you in studio. We're gonna have a Star Wars. This is perfect summer content. That's what
Okay.
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Perfect summer content.
Star
Anyway,
Wars. Harry.
glad we could be
Potter.
twinsies today.
I'm ready. Like,
Glad we were twinsies. All right, Shelby, go back to class. Tell Tyler we said hi.
Yep. It's like
all right. We'll do.
All right, bye. Of course, when we talk to our guest on the Heister Automotive Group hotline, we want to let you know that you can sell your car to Heister Automotive Group.
Sell your car, buy your car, give them a budget, let them know, hey, this is what I'm interested in. Give them a specific car, specific model that you're potentially interested in. Let them go find you, give you some options. These are all things you can do. HeisterAuto.com.
Like me, I want a Honda Element.
Well, you let Bennett and his crew know.
With a tape deck.
Well, tape deck might be asking a lot.
Big thanks to Hometown Realty. Check them out online, myhtr.com. You can buy and sell with confidence. And when we talk about selling, it is about making sure you get the full value of your home. This guaranteed offer business sounds easy peasy, right? But that also means you're leaving money on the table. You don't want to do that, especially in this market. So contact myhtr.com. Big thanks to Whitaker and Hamer as well. Maybe you sold your house, you're buying a house, you want to take it to closing. That's one of the things that Whitaker and Hamer can do. One-stop shop for all sorts of legal needs. Check them out online at wh.lawyer. Maybe you want to take your HOA to the Supreme Court. I am sure that Whitaker and Hamer can help you out with that. Again, that's wh.lawyer. What?
I don't think I can promise that.
I don't know.
They can help you with your HOA agreements.
There's only one way to find out, Joe. Only one way to find out. And speaking of your home, you want to save on home insurance? Well, that's where Matt Davis at State Farm comes into play. Check him out online at insuregarner.com, theoginsurance.com, or call him directly at 919-779-8277 and have Matt Davis help you save money on home and auto. And now to a gentleman that I don't think he has any more eligibility left. He can't find himself in a Shaquille Moore situation playing for Kansas against North Carolina. He is Staats Battle, former NC State basketball player, joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline. Staats, what's going on, man? Oh, you got to unmute your mic. Shelby didn't. There we go. Now we're talking. What's up,
There
man?
we go. Yeah, classic. Yeah, good to see y'all. Thanks for having me.
When's the last time you saw Giglio?
Yesterday, actually. Before
Oh.
that, it was the Final Four, which was a blast.
He didn't have any fireballs in his system yesterday, did he?
Not as many as I could tell from the Final Four. But yeah, it was the Final Four was good. So we got 2 tickets. All the former players did, and
Yeah.
I was planning on, me and Chris Corciani Jr. linking up together as walk-ons. Would just sit together, save the tickets, and he ended up going with his dad. He ditched the walk-on crew, and so I had an extra ticket. And so Scott Wood was fishing for an extra ticket, and I was hoping he was going to give it to his cousin. I'm really good friends with his cousin. His cousin was going out there. I thought that's who it was going to be, and then he told me it was Joe. And then my first response was, well, who is he giving it to? So I didn't know that I was actually going to be sitting next to Joe. So we had a blast.
Okay. It was Brick House. It was Chase and Staats, man.
Yeah.
I mean, we did it up.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
From what I can remember, we did it up.
Yeah.
I think I was on my best behavior during the game, right?
Yeah. So I didn't go to any of the practice events before, and I've never been to the Final Four as a State fan my age. And so when I showed up to the game, running a little late, got to my seat, did not check the price of beverages. And
oh yeah, man. See, you made a mistake that I didn't.
Yeah.
Joe was already pre-gamed at that point, and that cardboard sign was with him at all times. I'm sure.
Well, he was like, do you want a drink? And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll take one. And then Brick was like, yeah, I'll take one. And then Chase was like, yeah, I'll take one. And so Joe made the mistake of offering to get us one. So we went up, and I think you had to take 2 trips because they would only let you get 2 at a time. All of this situational awareness went totally over my head at the time, but realized it after the fact. So really appreciate you hooking us up.
Oh, of course. We had a blast. Now, you said Scott Wood is the one who helped you out with those tickets to help me out. Now, Scott is the coach at Broughton this year, your alma mater, and you're helping him out. You guys actually have your reunion tonight. We are going to be over at beautiful Broughton. That is like a college. I mean, you guys are spoiled over there. So that's tonight, 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock. It's the alumni game, right?
Yes, that's right. We got 34 players signed up, actually, all alumni. Yeah, it should be fun playing pickup starting at 6:15, and there's going to be a slam dunk contest and 3-point contest with the current team right before that.
Are you in the dunk contest?
I'm absolutely not. But we got 2 guys that can really elevate. They're on the team right now, Jordan Page and Storm Taylor.
Okay.
Did you make sure that Scott was not eligible for the 3-point contest?
Yeah, I did. We were making sure it's only current players and possibly some former players may get worked in. So Scott's an adopted person of the family, but did not go to actual Broughton. So we got to X him out of it.
Yeah, if there's one thing Broughton people will tell you, it's kind of like New Yorkers, right? The first thing they tell you is, back in New York, the first thing Broughton people will tell you, hey, back in Broughton. Oh, you didn't go to Broughton? This is coming from a Cardinal Gibbons guy, so this is why
he's trying to talk right now.
This is why I'm like, cool, Broughton, whatever. I know how back in the late 90s, nobody would look at me from Gibbons, man. It is what it is.
Now, when I went over there yesterday, I noticed there were a couple Woodenisms on the grease board. How has Scott been as a coach?
Yeah, he's been great. He has I mean, we both have a great relationship with Godfrey. Godfrey had a great relationship with Coach Wood, and we both played for them. He had the pyramid of success. You should Google it if you. I used to have it memorized back when I was at NC State.
When it was on the wall, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But that's a great one, and we're definitely preaching that every day. And then the biggest thing for us, kind of transitioning kind of from the player role to the coaching role, is there's no bad students, there's only bad teachers. And so coming from kind of the high level that Scott came from, and Ralston Turner's also over there with us, is kind of really taking it back to kind of where actually we were at high school and not where we are now, and really trying to kind of teach the foundation and not super advanced stuff that they've been doing professionally.
You guys will have a lot of eyes on you this season, not only because of Scott and the staff, but Jordan Page, you had already mentioned, is one of the highest rated players in the country. What have you seen so far out of Jordan, and why are people so excited about him?
Yeah, he's great. He's a yes sir, no sir type of guy. First day we met him, continued since this. We've met him since we started to get in with them this summer when we were doing team camp. We had like 12 games in 21 days. And so that's like, a really tough situation for the kids where you have a new coaching staff coming in, you have no practices, and now you're rolling out the ball and there's college coaches everywhere. And so getting to see him in that type of environment was great. He's got a high energy. He's crashing the board on offense. He's boxing out on defense. Obviously, the in and out crossover on the wing through the lane and dunking on people is a plus, but it's the other things that really make him special. We had practice yesterday, and we're still kind of implementing shell drill and things like that on the defensive side, and really trying to get the team to buy in on the defensive side. And he, dove for a pass, Superman style, just was parallel to the floor, about 3 feet off the ground, and intercepted it. It was awesome. That's the type of guy he is.
No, Scott Wood, known defender. Yes, I could see.
Yeah, so it's funny. Everyone with like Ralston and Scott, everyone thinks we're going to be this great shooting team, but it's ironic. We're actually hounding down on defense. It may be something self-consciously that maybe we all weren't great defenders, and so we're trying to make it up with our team. But defense has definitely been the focal point.
I'm curious. I ran into Will Roach at Longleaf.
Speaking of the Broughton legends,
right? Yeah,
that gave them the whole crew here.
He absolutely is a legend. So I ran into Will at Longleaf shortly after the Final Four, and I was like, I hadn't seen him in a while, and asked how it was and what kind of experience that was. And he said something that I hadn't really thought about, but it makes a ton of sense, and that is NC State doesn't necessarily have a successful through line to bring everybody together, right? So with Carolina, I mean, we know what it is. It's the family. Everything kind of centered around the banners and Michael Jordan and everything else. At Duke, they copied it, obviously, but they've got the brotherhood. They send guys to the NBA. They try to bring it back. They try to brand it that way. With State, and they had continuity in coaches too. With State, you've had a whole bunch of coaches in between, right? And there's no real through line there. But what the Final Four seemed to have done, at least how Will presented it, was he got added to a group chat. And then that group chat grew because some other people were added to the group chat, and was putting all these guys at State with no real connection together through NC State to go through this squad with the Final Four. What was your experience with that? Was it similar to Will's?
Yeah, definitely. There were guys on my team, and I got guys that are still currently playing, like Spain, all over the different time zones. It's hard to keep in touch with them all, and that absolutely brought us back together. And then the guys that actually went to the game, like me, Chase, and Brickhouse, we sat beside each other for 30 games a year. And now we're sitting beside each other watching the Final Four, and it's really cool kind of going to a different city and you're all there for one thing, just kind of that common reason to cheer on, something that you are part of, you're passionate about, and to see some success was awesome.
Broughton alumni game is tonight, 6:00, Holiday Gym. We're going to be over there at 5. We had to have you on those Staats to tell those stories about the Final Four, because they wouldn't really be appropriate during a high school event for us to tell those stories. So I figured it would be best to get them now, because Joe was back here on Hillsborough Street having his own interesting day, but he didn't get to see the full drunk Giglio.
No,
you've seen that before, but not at the Final Four.
I was going to say, I've seen you drunk plenty of times, and soaking things up at 3 a.m. at a Waffle House. I've seen it. I've seen it. But yeah, the Final Four thing was, we had a conversation. We tried to go to it. I'm like, nah, just go. Because I'd never seen Hillsborough Street like that before. I've been on Franklin Street when they've won a national championship, that kind of stuff. But I've never seen in front of, Mitch's, where I spent a lot of time when I was at NC State. I never seen it like that before. So that was a cool experience. Obviously, people want the game to go a little bit differently, but that's neither here nor there. Hey, man, thanks for jumping on, and we'll see you in a little bit.
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks, guys.
Big thanks to Roback for being a corporate champion. Giglio's got that Roback on right now.
You don't know me like that.
It's the kind of polo that Mike Maniscalco would sleep in.
Yes.
I want to know if he
comfortable
actually
golf
did.
shorts there are.
I want to know if he did last night.
Potentially.
Maybe he did.
That leaderboard. Nice.
You can ask him when you see him at the game later today. You can save 20% right now when you go to roback.com, RHOBACK.com. And they've got new styles dropping all the time. And while I am not a quarter zip person, Roback's designs are so fire that I'm actually going to break out the OG business card and purchase the Christmas quarter zip.
It's impressive.
I got to do it.
It's impressive.
It's a really cool looking quarter zip. I cannot wait to rock it. So go to roback.com. Big thanks to Happy and Hale for jumping on as a corporate champion. You can check them out with the app. The app makes it super easy to order online, have it scheduled, pick it up on your way back home for a quick lunch or a quick dinner, whatever it might be. You can do that with Happy and Hale.
Let's take a hockey break. Brought to you by Happy and Hale.
Canes get to 8 tonight? 8 wins in a row?
Every time I see
Penguins?
Pittsburgh, they give you the old, Malkin and Crosby still here, still making plays.
Yeah.
It's usually in a shootout.
Right.
Where you're like, oh, which team don't you want to play in a shootout?
They overcame
those two.
They overcame Ovechkin getting a goal from where he always gets a goal from. So
That's fair.
They took out Boston. Boston's always a pain in the ass. and they dismantled Boston last week at this time.
They did.
So why
7 in a
not?
row. They didn't play great against Philly.
No, they didn't.
I do think they'll play pretty well in the first period tonight, just based on, Rod's messaging and how everything turned out in that win. It was like one of those where you kind of got away with it, right? So now I think you'll see them a little bit more focused effort early.
Makes sense. Also, big thanks to Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. You can check them out online at bugsbite.com. With Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority, you can combine and save with their 2 features. And you can go to the website and go ahead and, buy a bunch of them up right now. You can buy in for the year. You can pay as you go. All sorts of options, no contracts. It's all part of bugsbite.com with Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. Again, that website is bugsbite.com. All right, let's get out of here on the Hey Joe. Let's see what we have in the comment section today. Justin did go. He wants to let you know, Giglio, that he's going to go to 2 Roosters to pick up some of that chest pat,
chocolate chest pie,
and a pint of the sweet potato. I got to try the sweet potato.
The sweet potato is surprisingly amazing.
Okay. Look, I'm a fan.
Really,
I am
really
a
good.
fan. I am a fan of sweet potato casserole with the marshmallows and all that stuff.
So it's a vanilla base with the nuts, the marshmallow, and the sweet potato. So good.
Fair enough.
The chocolate chest pie, remember, you have to order. That's the week of Thanksgiving.
Okay. Just want to clarify that.
Yes.
From Gene, oh, come on. State is not going to lose to Carolina. Remember last year I called it when Carolina was 6-0. State will win
You did call
against
that.
Carolina.
You are right, Gene. You are right.
From Ken, Star Wars crap sets the vibe. You're absolutely right. Star Wars crap sets the vibe.
Yeah.
All right, let's go over to the OG sports phone. I think we got a couple calls that I think are worth playing. And obviously, I want to play the jingle one more time.
919 444 2211.
919 444 2211. Call the OG sports phone and curse or don't.
All right, this is from a 919 number.
Hey guys, Matt. I just wanted to call and touch on, you guys are talking about the CJ Bailey issue and how and everyone knows about him. He's an end commodity now, and just really wanted to talk about how it sucks nowadays. Like, it really sucks that you can go out and find a kid that are being overlooked and he can come in and just be an absolute stud, and rather than everyone being excited for next year, you just have to sit here and worry if he'll even be here next year. Like, it's really just gotten to a point where being a mid-major or mid-level or whatever you want to call it team, there's just no feeling of hope that you're going to get out of it. There was always the fact that, like, the big schools were going to get the big recruits and it was hard to catch up to them, but maybe you'll find that diamond in the rough. Maybe you'll get that Russell Wilson. Maybe you'll get that Devin Leary. But now even if you get them, you don't even know if they're going to stay. I mean, it's just depressing, and I just really hope that they'll be able to change something in the future, because it's not even fun to do the off season anymore if you don't even think you're going to be able to keep the guys that you really want to see stay. All right.
Yeah, and I guess that's a good call. And I guess in a weird sort of way, what could be happening with college football, not that there weren't transfers before, not that you couldn't get a grad transfer to show up and change your program. I mean, obviously NC State experienced that with Russell Wilson. But what has already been normalized in college basketball is getting really normalized in college football now. And I think it's only going to get more interesting because there's way more money in football than there is in basketball. Yes. Not to say at certain programs, you're always going to have money. Duke, Carolina, Kansas, Kentucky, all that kind of stuff, right? But with football, it really becomes almost a feeder system because there's only so many roster spots on a basketball team. And you can be very judicious about who you're picking and build around. But with football, I mean, we saw it. I mean, you can wholesale change a team if you want to because you got the money to do it. So that's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I mean, all I can think about is UNC Asheville basketball about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I just remember they had a whole team, made the tournament, and then all of a sudden they lost 3 guys, and it was like instantaneous. And it was like, man, what are we doing this for? The same lament there. We're finding players that other guys don't want.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden they're transferring. We went from the NCAA tournament to just barely being able to field the team. I don't know how dire it will be in college football. For every Cam Ward, there's obviously a Grayson McCall. I mean, it's going to be on a team by team, school by school basis.
Mm-hmm.
The real issue becomes, are you going to be able to hold on to your own players? And how many of those do you have to realize, like in the case of State? If Kevin Concepcion has played himself out of the market, well, then you need to look at the replacement value.
Mm-hmm.
But then you also have to look at CJ Bailey and go, I mean, this is a guy we want to prioritize and pay and take care of. So I think and they did that last year with KC, by the way. And I thought they should have. But now you're in a situation where you have other players, you have other receivers, you have other options. You know, Justin Jolie's a guy they got to look at and say, hey, you know, this is a guy you'd rather. The other end of that, of course, is if you're Dave and you've been known for developing players and continuity, you'd rather have a guy for 2 or 3 years than just trying to go back into the portal and getting one guy and acclimate him.
Yeah.
That's where they've failed, you know, quite frankly.
All right, to a 919 number.
Joe and Joe, so thankful for you putting the Enlow Eagles on the podcast. Proud 1990 graduate. We are the biggest math and science school, not athletics, but awesome time. Also had a great time at all the state games and looking forward to next year. Wish it was better this year, but we're ready to go. Thank you.
Now we got Broadnet in low this week. Who could be mad at us? Southeast Raleigh?
Garner.
The G?
They're your people.
They're not mad at me yet.
Not yet, but you don't have anybody from Garner on the podcast.
Yeah, we'll get Blom's on here.
Although I did see James making a podcast debut
He
the other
did?
day.
That was big time.
I saw that.
With my guy, Steven Igo.
I saw him with Igo. I thought that was cool.
Very nice.
Much better looking version of you.
Much. I mean, he looks just like Jessica.
He does look like Jessica.
I mean,
he does look like Jessica. That's
Stamp.
true. Jackson's the Giglio.
Yeah.
Jackson is the Giglio. Just like Caleb is clearly Kelly's side of the family. Jacob's just my mom.
Yes.
Jacob looks just like my mom.
Yes.
All right. Before we get out of here, it's funny. People being out in Europe, going to Germany. It's been kind of difficult to track some Panthers people down. And we appreciate everybody's help that comes on our podcast and talks Panthers. Whether it's Julian Council from Locked On Panthers, Mike K from the Charlotte Observer, who does a great job. But then I'm going to have to get Mike K on next week to take him to task.
Yeah, Mike's a Philly guy who should know food takes.
You'd think. So he tweets out, sometimes you have to live a little. And this is him at a McDonald's. Now, at first I went, dude, please tell me you're not one of these Americans that goes overseas and just is like, oh,
I can't find anything else.
I can't find anything to
I hate
eat.
all this local stuff.
Just go to a kebab stand or a currywurst cart. There's so many things.
I'm not going to eat monkey brains.
Go to a freaking beer garden and have a giant pretzel while you're there, man. Come on, dude. But then I realized, wait a minute. Maybe I'm not giving Mike enough credit. I have to contact him.
Okay.
Because if you're going to go to a McDonald's in Germany, please tell me you're going to a McDonald's in Germany to get German exclusive, and also in Italy, the pizza pockets available at McDonald's.
In Germany?
In Germany. Yes. Well, because like they had a McSpaghetti at one point. Like the weird McDonald's items that existed in other places still exist, right? So apparently that you can get nugs and pizza pockets at German McDonald's or an Italian McDonald's. I found a guy who did this last year. I don't know if this stuff exists in Germany still, but he got the pizza pockets. He got a 12 nug with 5 called Pizza Stanchen. My German is terrible. Kelly would be very, very mad at me. Also got a McPlant. It's called a McPlant, which is a Beyond Meat burger. Also got the McPlant nuggets. Apparently they do curly fries in Germany.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Although the one thing McDonald's is really, really good at is shoestrings.
I agree. I don't know why they would do curly fries, but apparently they do curly fries. Apparently their shake machines work over there. Who knew, right? The McFlurry machines. Apparently they have something called a cookies and cream, a cookies and cream pies, which you can get. And they also have different sauces there, including a curry sauce and their version of a sweet and sour sauce. So look, if Mike was going there so that he could try German McDonald's one-offs, respect. Otherwise, Mike.
A schnitzel mac?
I'd eat that.
I would.
I would absolutely eat that.
Delightful.
Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for today's show. Big thanks to everybody who's watching on YouTube today. Subscribe, hit the like button, leave the comments. All that stuff helps with the algorithm and discovery. And if you listen to us on the podcast, by all means, give us 5 stars. 5 stars only, positive vibes only. Leave a review while you're at it as well. Again, especially when it comes to places like Spotify, that helps with discovery of the podcast, which of course helps us out and helps our corporate champions out. And we keep doing our thing. So thank you for listening. And we'll see you on Monday.
Don't forget, we got a bunch of bonus coverage. We're going over to Broughton.
We do.
And then on Saturday, we have some after
Oh, I
dark.
meant to ask you that. Are you doing it after dark? Because I'm going to be out of pocket.
That's fine.
Okay.
I'll yammer.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're just going to do it on your own, read comments?
Potentially. Maybe I'll do it from Steve's RV.
Oh, no, that would be a visual.
Get the feed. Would be
Here's the problem. I'm sure Steve has an Ethernet cable that'll connect all the way back to Breeze through.
Ooh.
Just saying. Here's the issue with doing it from Steve's RV.
Yeah.
Steve's going to hijack the show.
Well, no,
especially if they lose.
No, the neighbor has loud music.
Oh.
They're like the party RV.
Yeah, that we
but
get.
you would love it. It's all 90s hip hop.
Oh, okay. I mean, we get flagged on YouTube, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. Anyway, so we're going to have it after dark on Saturday. And of course, we'll see you on Monday. Take it easy.